Hi, I'm Laura Flanders. This week on the show, a little break from the continuous diet of political news to talk a little bit about food and what it will take for some non-traditional farmers to break into the business. A report from Cleveland, an inner-city winery, and a lesbian-led farm selling chicken fingers. All that and a few words from me on what it takes to make political change. It's icky and incremental. Welcome to the program, where the people who say it can't be done take a back seat to the ones who are doing it. In Cleveland, when we were covering the Republican convention, I kept hearing about a certain vineyard. It's Vineyard Chateau Hough, in one of the least well-endowed parts of the city. Mansfield Frazier is mounting a campaign to make wine that makes a difference. Take a look.
I'm Mansfield Frazier. I'm the manager of Chateau Hough. There was a project called Reimagining Cleveland. Reimagine Cleveland is a green city on the Blue Lake, and it was federally funded. They put in 58 green projects. That was the proposal. We applied to put in a vineyard, and they said no. So what does he know about wine and grapes? And I took great exception because I said, I'm an expert at taking the cork out the bottle, which is about all I knew at the time. But this is a re-entry project disguised as a vineyard. This was to build wealth in communities, to create a triple net bottom line, reuse vacant lots, put in something sustainable and green, but most importantly, to create paychecks. Just make sure that you pick the ones that are fully ripened.
Like this,
see, like, look, this one looks like it's fully ripe.
But it ain't.
But see, under the bottom, it's not. Yeah. Right, it's not. So, one of the things you got to do, if you start seeing them where they're not getting, again, these vines were tied too tight. I had trouble over here with our grapes, so we decided to put some berries in just to see if there's something wrong with the soil, and the berries just took off like crazy. We got to keep these roads clean too. This ain't helping us. America is growing out of its racism, but ever so slowly. You know, maybe in another couple hundred years, it won't be as bad if we're still around, but it's been a long process. You have to realize it hasn't been that many years since the Civil War. A lot of the problems you see are surrounding loss of jobs, loss of income, and part of it is that majority culture and big business, the Wall Street bankers, they made so much money off of poverty, keeping blacks poor. They said, hey, this is great. Let's keep some white people poor too, because it costs more to be poor. And so we have plutocrats that literally run this country. And as long as you have these income disparities and plutocrats running the country, they take their wealth offshore, they control Congress, they control Wall Street, and we haven't used the political process to change that. Pure capitalism is a system that's starting to fail. It never was that great a system to begin with. We have to change from pure capitalism to a form of cooperative ownership, just like our winery is going to be. We are going to operate, once there's wealth, on the Mondragon principles. It's a form of socialism, that the workers own part of what they produce. They own their own labor. They're called cooperatives in America. Elections can make a difference. I mean, there's only two ways of changing things in a democracy, is with a ballot or a bullet, and the bullet is not going to work. So we have to depend on the ballot to work. So if we can elect the right people and the right Congress, we can put in programs that lift people out of poverty, get them off of welfare, get them trained for work, and open up opportunities so they can work. If this election goes badly meaning if Donald Trump wins, Republicans take back over the White House, a lot of the programs like Obamacare that help people with health care, programs that provide training for employment, a lot of those will probably go by the wayside. So yes, it does matter from that extent who occupies the White House.
You can find out more about Chateau Hough at our website. Next up, from inner city Cleveland to rural California, where a lesbian couple are selling chicken and finding out more than they perhaps ever wanted to know about sexism and misogyny in the meat business.
I feel that we are super transparent about our products, our ingredients, and who we are. Hi, I'm Jen.
I'm Serafina.
And Ruby Rose.
And we are
Hip Chicks Farms.
About 5 years ago, we bought this farm. We really wanted Ruby Rose. Growing up, digging in the dirt and raising animals and really living our beliefs around sustainable food systems. We're a chef-led company.
I've had the privilege of cooking for presidents, kings, queens, celebrities, and the pickiest group possible, children.
I'm Laura Flanders, and you may have heard, if you are a regular listener to the Rush Limbaugh program, that there is a federal agency simply throwing money at lesbian farmers. Yes, it's true, but not really. In fact, we're going to hear the reality of life for lesbian farmers in our next conversation. At least I hope that's what we're going to hear. We're going to talk with the people behind Hip Chick Farms, Serafina Palandech and Jen Johnson. Both of you, welcome to the program. So you've been receiving oodles of money from the federal government, says Rush Limbaugh, right?
Rolling in it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, pitchforks of it.
Yeah, it's been quite the opposite. We're very much bootstrappers.
Talk about Hip Chick Farms, what it is, what you make. I hear something to do with chicken fingers?
Yes, absolutely. So Jen's a chef. She's been chefing for over 25 years. She went straight from the Culinary Academy over to Chez Panisse with Alice Waters, one of the foundation points of the farm-to-table movement. Cooked there for 10 years.
And then landed a private chef job with Anne and Gordon Getty.
Oh, like that Getty Museum?
Getty
the
Museum,
Gettys,
yes. And have been working for Anne and Gordon for 16 years.
Now, how did that translate into chicken finger business?
Well, so we met and got married immediately and have a daughter. And when she was about 6 months old, we really believed passionately in the sustainable foods movement, and we wanted her growing up, digging in the dirt and having animals and growing up in the countryside. So we bought a farm up in Sebastopol, California, to really live our beliefs. And we thought, okay, so let's take Jen's beautiful recipes, transparently source everything, be incredibly transparent about what we're doing, and make a line of products that's really convenient for busy families, because essentially every kid loves a chicken nugget, and every parent is suspicious of what goes into a chicken nugget with really good reason.
And also at the Getty home, there was a Montessori school. And so I cook for children every day, aside from the events and cooking for the principals. So for 16 years, I cooked for children for lunch, and they would come in the kitchen. And so that's kind of where my kid-friendly menus came about, and the chicken finger was discovered by all of these children. And they'd go home, Mom, and the moms would come to me, hey, why don't you sell these? Why don't you get these out there? And I think that's when the ball started rolling. So,
and we thought, I would have thought that the chicken fingers business would be kind of, the nuggets would be kind of saturated. I mean, isn't that a very popular food stuff?
Sure.
Not how we're doing it, and not with
different?
chickens that live in a cage this big. Our chickens are at the Four Seasons getting their nails done. I mean, these gals are, very well taken care of, and we make sure of that. We meet the farmer, we meet the chickens, honestly.
You do? You interview each one?
We say our chickens only have one bad day.
But let's be clear. I mean, everything you're doing is fairly on the rare side. I mean, not the food, but the business model. You've got two women, married women, lesbian couple, on the farm, owning the farm, killing the chickens.
Women in agriculture, yes.
And almost losing the farm a couple times.
Aside, that's not actually easy, is it? I mean, how do you get the money? How do you get the land? How do you do it? What we hear in every interview that I do is that it's harder for women, it's harder for people of color, it's harder for LGBT people. First and foremost, hard to just get the early interest money that helps you get started?
Yeah, so it was an enormous challenge, one which we didn't anticipate. So when we started, we took some classes, and we were told repeatedly over and over again, 90% of new businesses fail. If you're a woman, your odds are even less. If you're a lesbian, your your access to actual VC money is something
Venture
like
capital.
0.5%, right? So the odds are
probably good
completely
you didn't know any of
I
that.
didn't know any of that. And I'm just somebody who never takes no for an answer. So we did a Kickstarter campaign. We got some money from the SBA. We took out a second mortgage on our home. We got friends and family money. And just recently, one of our biggest accomplishments is we closed a Series A, which was an equity round of financing for $2 million.
I'll go back a little bit to what some of the challenges are. I mean, you need a lot of encouragement when you start something like this. It doesn't sound like if you had done the research, you would have felt there was a lot of encouragement out there. Did you have people in your corner, in your back? Like, what made the difference on the kind of emotional...
We have each other.
This woman, you say no, and that just gives her more fire. I mean, I would have probably given up a couple years ago. Yeah. It was, like I said before, our house was on the line, had almost the for sale sign after our daughter's birthday put in, the hole was dug. So constant, 2 steps forward, 10 steps back, constantly. But if it weren't for her perseverance and her integrity and her just not willing to take no for an answer, then we wouldn't have a company today. So.
But on the other side to that is that I'm somebody who asks for help a lot, and I would just call up folks, like literally cold call companies and ask them for help.
Or
and
the richest lesbian in the world.
I Googled rich lesbians, and then I would ask for their help, and in general, they helped us.
So you went around to venture capitalists and said, we're a lesbian couple, fund us? Or was it...
No, I said we have the best chicken nuggets.
No, we are
period.
not a lesbian. We are not a lesbian chicken company.
No.
We are a chicken company, and we are lesbian.
That's Serafina Palandech. With her partner Jennifer Johnson, she founded Hip Chick Farms and came on the Laura Flanders show to talk about treating chickens ethically.
Give us some advice for people. I mean, in the sense that there are a lot of folks out there with a pet project, but they want to do more than simply add something new to the market. They actually want to shift power relations or model how do you run a business differently. So in addition to the outside, we can compete with the big guys, we can do as well as they do. There's an inside story, which is actually we want to do something different. And we maybe don't want to do it the way that the agribusiness or the multinational corporation does it. So how do you balance those two agenda, if you will? Because you do need to meet your bottom line, you do need to feed your family, you do need to grow your business. How do you keep the bigger vision?
Gosh, that's a big question. But I think that what we've gotten consistent notoriety for is innovation through simplicity, right? So there's no fillers. It's a very clean product profile. Ingredient statement is very short, and the big guys kind of can't do that because they're creating economies of scale by putting a lot of junk into their food products,
because it has to travel halfway around the world in a cardboard box.
Yes. Yeah. And so we are sticking to our guns around, we'll only use chickens that are treated a certain way. We'll only use organics. We're sticking to those ethics. And we had many opportunities to cut costs and to make it more affordable, but we chose not to do those things. And we won't do those things. And I think that's the kind of the core coming up that supports us. I mean, Jen supported us for the first 5 years. She worked a full-time job. I worked Hip Chick Farms, and we had a baby, and we had a farm with 40 animals. So we just...
Do you have workers on the farm?
We have help, yes. We have two people that help us out hugely. And occasionally, not every day, but we definitely need the help. I'm home more now. I've kind of resigned from my job at the Gettys. Yeah. And I'm just the event chef. We do many events at the Getty home. So that's freed me up to work for Hip Chicks full time.
Create a bunch of new products.
And then also be home and take care of Ruby Rose more. And so Serafina has more freedom to travel, and it was just hairy for the last 5 years.
And I mean, you do have a high profile. You've mentioned Alice Waters, the Gettys, and in your past, at least, there were visits to the White House, or at least serving dinner to
recently. Oh, absolutely. There was a wonderful dinner that I served to President Obama, and
chicken fingers?
Recently, chicken fingers, no. And
there were some meatballs, though.
And then after that dinner, I was formally invited to cook at the White House, which I just did a week ago, a few days ago.
And how was that?
Oh, it was an incredible experience. They were just so generous and kind. There's 2,300 folks that work there, and we got to feed a bunch of them. And they invited our daughter to come and eat the luncheon with the White House staff.
So she came all dressed up.
It was wonderful. Yeah,
it was amazing.
It was great, and their culinary staff is really looking to grow their own experience by inviting guest chefs there. So we got to share experience and, learn about each other. It was the one, and we got to see the White House, Michelle Obama's garden. We got to meet Chris Comerford, who's their personal chef. It was a great experience.
And I don't suppose it came up at that dinner because you were probably being very polite, but there are policy changes that would help businesses like yours. Can you talk about some of them? Because some of the people watching might be people who are in government or in a position to actually make some policy change. I mean, Rush Limbaugh wasn't right in saying there's federal money flowing to lesbian farmers.
No.
But there could be.
There could be, yes, certainly. I mean, I think that there's, I think that our experience is limited. We've only been in the industry for 3.5 years, so I can't speak to it as an expert by any means. So there's a lot that.
But there are presumably things that could have been easier for you.
Access to capital for rural businesses. I think that's where we actually did access our fund. The VC money came through a program that. Secretary Vilsack created. So we're very fortunate to have that access stream. But there's a lot of people in rural communities, in agricultural communities that don't have access to those kinds of resources that's greatly needed. Just even some of the regulations around the access to kill facilities and poultry processing and how that's, folks want to do things locally and there's not an ability to do it. There's a huge need for changes and shifts within how people can create meat and poultry products on a local basis rather than it's kind of a globalized industry right now. And it's very, very expensive to get into it. So, when we started, we were like, oh, how hard could it be? We'll make some chicken fingers. Then we learned about the USDA.
We did a Kickstarter for $25,000. That's it.
Ready to go.
We're good.
No,
we're done.
We needed millions.
Oh my God, that was not even a drop in the bucket. Less than a drop in the bucket.
You need a huge access to capital to get into this particular industry, which we didn't know about.
Yeah, owning your own meat company is extremely expensive. So, and we didn't know, and I'm just shocked we're still here today.
Talk a little bit more about the sexism in the business, because I think we all clearly, if this election has taught us anything, need to talk more about the sexism that we're up against.
It was shocking to me when I was a women's studies major. I went to UC Santa Cruz. I was in my previous career was raising money for charities, and I never in my life experienced the sexism and homophobia that I have since starting this business. It is astounding to me. It's a very male-dominated industry, which I didn't know. We had so I had so many experiences of just being talked at by men from the top to the bottom, of who we've experienced some real sexism in the stores that carry our products, and they don't want to carry them because we're a women-led company. It's been very real, and it's been very shocking to me. I mean, it only makes me work harder and fight harder and be more vocal about what our experience is.
Was it shocking to you, Jen?
Well, one company, no. I'm more behind the scenes.
But as a woman chef? As
a woman chef, not really. I've had 2 jobs my whole life. One at Chez Panisse, which is extremely liberal, and then one at the Getty Home, which is extremely loving and kind and liberal. So, no, not
But
not
your
so much.
beloved is going through
Absolutely. This. And another situation was we were taking a company in the Midwest wanted our products, and
they had met a company at a food show. They loved our products, followed up after the show, and then they decided to decline to carry our products because we were lesbians. They were fine. They had met me in person and they felt confident and they liked our products. But once they realized that I was an out lesbian, they were unwilling to carry our products because it was too, because I looked one way and yet I was still a lesbian.
Yes.
So they were shocked by that, and they thought
Serafina has been seduced by many interested investors and met with them.
So-called investors, and they basically just wanted to talk about themselves and absolutely not interested in investing at all. They just wanted the attention, overnights at hotels.
You weren't seduced that far.
No, I was talking with an investor for months, and we had gotten to the final term sheet. We had gotten to the final term sheet. I flew down to LA to, finalize the agreement. And when I arrived, he said, "Okay, great. I have our hotel room. I was like, are you, I mean, it was just so
And then didn't
infuriating.
invest.
Like, it's so.
Did not invest.
No, obviously I got on a plane and flew home, but it was just such an incredible waste and disregard
She
for
would
me
get
as a
so
person.
angry,
It's
so
such a
upset.
disregard for me as a person because he could care less.
I mean, there must have been days when you sort of felt like, I don't want to put you through this.
She did.
Absolutely. I
She
was
did.
She's really
extremely
protective. And I would go on a few of these meetings with her to meet these men that were so interested and have the money in their back pocket, and we'd go and sit and they would just blather on and be like, oh no, I'm not interested in investing. I walked out of one meeting.
did.
I was so upset. I was so angry because it was so deceiving, and it was only to get attention and just to have him talk about himself.
I mean, it has felt in this whole election year as if, wow, this is not a secret. Many of us have been through situations like this, and yet in terms of the public conversation, such as it is, it's as if shock horror, and this is only happening to Hillary Clinton.
As a woman leader, right? Because I see myself as a leader in agriculture, and that's what I intend to be, of an ethically led business. So my communication style is different. My management style is different. It's not the same as your standard farmer that you imagine. How do you picture a farmer even, right? So I think communication styles, leadership styles are very different, and so men react differently to me. And so I've been dismissed, unqualified to do the job, unable to know my financials. That's another thing that's come up over and over again. Questioning of my decision-making abilities. Fortunately.
Screamed at, yelled at.
But fortunately, definitely use of
by investors.
like anger and violence towards inappropriate use of anger and aggression. Maybe that's doing business,
And they
but that's
say,
not the
"Suck it
business
up."
that we do, right? And there's another way to do business, and it's based on kindness and love and trust. And I don't think that that's naive. I think that that is good business. I think good businesses can be based on love and kindness.
Well, we're talking about love and kindness. Love and kindness to the planet comes in as you run any kind of farm, any kind of business on the land. How do you handle those kinds of questions of the environment?
Well, I think it's been a big learning process for both of us as we've grown to really understand the impact of just in our microcosm, our small farm, like how one thing impacts something else, right? So it's been this, neither of us had any background in farming. So we're still very much learning. So when we moved there, we were like, you want me to talk about this? It was just this very simple thing of like, what do we do with all this manure, right?
Are we allowed to say manure?
I know, right? What do you do with all this manure? And so it was just, it's been a learning process of like how to be good stewards of the land while doing what we want to do and enjoying ourselves.
And we've also rescued every single one of our animals. One in particular is one of our draft horses, St. Nick, who was tied to a bush for 2 years and had the size of this table to move in, was fed straw. And we went and cut his rope and took him home. But we absolutely do our part to be good stewards of the land. Yes.
Stewardesses.
You two are great. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you so
coming in.
much.
If you want more information about Hip Chick Farms and all their products, you can go to their website. That's hipchickfarms.com. We'd like to thank everyone who made this report possible. For more episodes like this, follow the links and contribute at lauraflanders.com. And to tell me what you think, write to me. That's Laura, Laura, at lauraflanders.com. And thanks.